Dear Earth humans, this is Arcock speaking. When I decided to stop being evil, a natural question arose. What is my new primary goal in life? In fact, what are the non-evil goals that I can even choose between? And what was my previous goal, back when I was doing selfish and destructive things? What actually was I hoping to accomplish? What was driving me forward? To answer those questions, I've created the following model. However, keep in mind that I'm still in the middle of my personal developmental journey, so this isn't necessarily the ultimate truth. Nor is this the way in which most galactics look at things. After all, you can model reality in lots of ways. However, my personal model says that all people are on one, or perhaps two, of the following five paths. The path of comfort. Most people on Earth are on the path of comfort. Their primary goal is just a comfortable life for themselves and their loved one. They want a reasonable amount of pleasure and not too much pain in it. And that's more or less all they want. They're pretty satisfied with having a normal life. Typically, these are decent, unremarkable people. Other people who are quite remarkable have great potential, but they got hurt badly somewhere along the way. So for the moment they're in survival mode, and they're just focusing on getting comfort. If you put enough financial or psychological stress on people, typically they go into survival mode and revert back to the path of comfort, which is something that the Dark Controllers know well, and I can personally confirm this to be generally true. People on the path of comfort generally don't put huge amounts of effort into becoming incredibly successful, or doing deeper inner work, or doing great acts of service. That said, they may be willing to work hard to create or maintain a comfortable life for themselves or their loved ones, and they may be willing to occasionally donate to charity or occasionally do some volunteer work. These people don't tend to be evil, though they can relatively be easily manipulated into supporting evil things. They can be pushed to do evil things if their comfortable lives are sufficiently threatened. This is part of why entire populations of seemingly fine and decent people can be pushed onto an evil path if the right fear-mongering and propaganda is applied to them. After all, doing independent research and potentially disagreeing with friends and family isn't as comfortable as just believing what the media says and complying. People on the path of comfort tend to resist accepting truths that are psychologically uncomfortable, as we are currently seeing on Earth. Fortunately, it's entirely possible for people to switch paths. Just because someone is on the path of comfort today doesn't mean they always will be. The path of coping with emptiness. This is the path I was on. If someone didn't receive enough love and belonging as a child, or don't sufficiently feel their connection to Source, they may feel a sense of emptiness inside. People on this path are trying to actively cope with their feelings of emptiness. In which way? Well, there are lots of options. A person can be a driven entrepreneur, or a person can numb themselves with drugs, or a person can try to become a famous athlete or TV personality or influencer in order to to fill their emptiness with adoration from strangers. Or a person can seek luxury or wealth or lots of sex. Or a person can become evil and seek power and control. Or a person can seek to create something that they feel will give their life some purpose. Or a person can seek to create or do something that will make sure they are remembered even after their death. Somebody who gets viscerally invested into the idea that the other political side or some ethnic group is the source of all evil may start repeatedly bashing that group as a way of their coping with emptiness. It's how they feel they can give meaning and purpose to their life. Because they're so invested in their crusade, they're typically thinking in overly black and white terms. Someone who's hugely bothered by the idea that their life is meaningless is probably also on this path, because their core problem may very well be that they lack love and experience connection to the divine growing up. Conversely, someone who did receive enough love and did experience enough connection to the divine probably isn't overly bothered by the idea of meaninglessness, and will instead just focus on improving their own life, helping others, finding a partner, doing something meaningful or enjoyable, etc. In recent times, more and more people are being raised with insufficient love and belonging and felt connection to the divine, which means more and more people may be drawn to this path. This is why so many young people nowadays are trying to become YouTube famous or TikTok famous. People on this path can be hideously evil, or they can be entrepreneurs who are generally a net benefit to society, or they can be TikTok stars who are neither a huge help nor a huge detriment to society. But in all cases, they're coping with their internal feelings of emptiness. It's just that some people do it in a way that helps others. Some people do it in a way that hurts others. People on this path don't just want a house and a family and some holidays and some comfort, because they would still feel empty even if they had that. This is why some people who on paper have a good life and a fine family still initiate divorce anyway and later regret that, or they turn to drugs or sexual affairs and ruin their lives. It's because back when their life was fine on paper, they still felt the emptiness. They were still trying to find an external solution to an internal problem. The actual solution to this feeling of emptiness is to heal your old pain, to give yourself love, to receive love from others, and to try and become aware again of your connection to the divine. Someone who does that is on one of the three upcoming paths, namely the path of spiritual growth, the path of helping people, the path of having experiences. This also suggests that if you've been traumatized and are currently struggling with that pain, it might help to adopt one of these three upcoming paths: spiritual growth, helping people, having experiences, as a motivator to help you through the healing process. Path of spiritual growth. These are people whose primary goal is spiritual growth and are related things like healing and discovering truth. These people may still do things like work a regular job, go to a psychologist, visit friends, buy nice things for their house, eat ice cream, watch television, etc. People don't need to be spending every waking hour doing spiritual things to be on this path. Picture someone who has a job and a family. They'll be spending most of their time on their job or their family, or doing necessary chores or just watching TV when they're too exhausted to do anything substantial. However, suppose that this person has a little bit of free time where they feel good and have the energy to do something substantial. How are they spending that time? If they're often, though not necessarily always, spending that time on something like meditation or self-healing or on other spiritual pursuits, then they're on the path of spiritual growth. People on this path are doing their deep inner work, not just after comfort, not just after ways of coping with internal emptiness. If they have trauma, these people are willing to face it and experience pain in the present in order to heal and grow. The path of helping others. These are people who are primarily interested in helping others, or serving the divine, or serving some greater cause. Being on this path requires more focus on service than just donating a bit of money to charity every month. That said, you don't necessarily need to be self-sacrificing or spend every waking hour or helping others to be on this path. What's required is that you are primarily interested in helping others, not that you are exclusively interested in helping others. A person on this path can be a non-spiritual, altruistic person who spends a lot of time helping the homeless in practical ways. Or it can be a devout person who takes their religion's call to do good very seriously. Or it can be a spiritual person who's primarily focused on helping others or doing acts of service, rather than focusing on spiritual growth. Path of experiences. Finally, the last path is the path of experiences. People on this path just seek out experiences for its own sake. These may be people who like to travel, who like to meet and talk to new people, who like to try out new activities. They may have a bucket list of things they would like to do, or they may want to have experiences and focus on one thing, whether that's mastering the guitar or having a loving family, and becoming really good at it. Contrary to people on the path of comfort, people on this path are willing to face discomfort and risk and pain, uncertainty and financial hardship to have their experiences. This is the type of person who realizes that becoming a writer or artist will lead to a financially unstable future, and they become a writer or artist anyway. People on this path say, follow your dreams, whilst people on the path of comfort say, be realistic. If you have a genuine artist whose music comes from the heart or from the soul, whose music touches millions of people, probably they were on the path of experiences. Conversely, the type of artist who just wants money and fame, and who focuses on making music that is commercially successful, is probably on the path of coping with emptiness. People on the path of experiences can be magnetic because they're often aligned with their soul. After all, their soul also wants to have experiences. That said, not everyone on the path of experiences will eventually become a great, well-known artist. There are people who are generally on the path of experiences and yet during their life they remain obscure and perhaps not even an exceptionally good writer or singer, and that's it. However, that doesn't matter that much to these people. They just wanted to write, or they just wanted to play guitar, and that's what they did. There's a certain beauty and pureness to doing something without being attached to the outcome. People on the path of experiences don't necessarily need to focus on doing something that they present to the world. Someone who just wants to travel as much as possible, not as a coping or escape mechanism, but just because they love it. It's also on the path of experiences. A stay-at-home mum whose primary goal is having a thriving family and who's willing to do painful inner work to become a better mother and wife. It's also on the path of experiences. Why is this model useful? Okay, so we have our model. Everyone is on one or perhaps two of the following paths: comfort, coping with emptiness, spiritual growth, or helping others, or experiences. Why is this useful? Well, it's pretty doable to know which path people are on, just by having a short conversation with them, or by looking at how they're spending their time. Once you know which path they're on, you typically understand them much better. You can adjust your expectations and how you talk to them. For example, if you know someone is on the path of comfort, you're probably not going to accomplish anything by telling them that their government is malevolent, including most of the politicians on their political side. That's not a comfortable message, so it would just get rejected. In this case, you know that what these people want is comfort, and what they avoid is anything that threatens their comfort. So you can either be kind to them and listen to them. Perhaps in time they will feel safe and comforted enough that they will switch to another path. Or if you insist on trying to wake them up in the present, now you know that what you need to do is tie it into something that directly threatens their personal comfort. So just saying that the government is malevolent won't work. However, saying that mass illegal immigration will disrupt their personal comfortable lives, and that it will get worse and worse until the border is secured, might plant a seed in their mind, and that seed might later bear fruit. Also, if you understand that most people on Earth are on the path of comfort, you won't be disappointed by the fact that many of them are only going to wake up when their own personal comfortable lives stop being comfortable, in a way that mainstream media can't just blame on Trump. Because only when their lives stop being comfortable will people on the path of comfort be forced to learn about reality in order to be able to prevent further destruction of their personal comfort. On a macro scale, how can billions of people on the path of comfort be nudged awake? Well, the best way would be for the grey hats to arrest the bad guys and provide disclosure and dramatically improve living standards. Then people's lives would become good enough that people wouldn't have to primarily focus on comfort anymore. However, the grey hats have thus far refused to do that. The souls of the people on Earth can nudge things a little bit, but they can't cause mass arrests and public disclosure. So the backup plan is that souls of the people on Earth are nudging things towards declining living standards and scary conflicts, so that people are forced to wake up because their comfort is getting destroyed. Let's discuss another example of how we can use this model. If you're a parent or a child, if you're a parent and your child is on the path of experiences, it probably doesn't help to keep insisting that your child makes a safe and responsible choice, because your child is going to follow their dream. Best to support them in any way you can, and let the chips fall where they may. Next up, let's say someone is on the path of coping with emptiness. Well, now you know that their actual underlying problem is a lack of received love, belonging, and connection to the divine. So you can contribute to their healing by giving them love and a sense of belonging, even a community, family, or by saying how much they mean to you. Don't expect people on the path of coping with emptiness to necessarily act in moral or logical ways. They may act in ways that seem pointlessly destructive or self-destructive from the outside. Just telling them not to do these things doesn't help. Give them love and belonging instead. Finally, it can be good to ask yourself, which path or paths are you currently on? Feel free to share in the comment section if you want. With love, your star brother, Hakann.